Welcome to Inside Gaming. I'm Brian. It's weekend roundup time. So it's been a minute since we've checked on Star Citizen, but it's a new year. Let's see. Oh, yep, it is still raking in a ton of cash. Like a lot. Another record. Twinfinite reports that the white whale of video games has set a new fundraising record. It's the best thing that Star Citizen does. They raked in more than $86 million in 2021. That was up from almost $79 million in 2020. Overall, they estimate that Star Citizen has raised, just through crowdfunding, more than $426 million. Holy, that's a lot of money, and they have more than 3.4 million registered accounts. Now, the saga of Star Citizen is legendary at this point. It was announced back in October of 2012. It was crowdfunded, one of kind of the OG crowdfunded games that got a ton of media attention. The goal was to make an immersive space sim / combat game, had a super impressive pedigree. Legendary developer Chris Roberts was on board. Everyone jumped on board to support it. It was kind of a return to the big PC space sim game that we hadn't seen a lot of. The money rolled in, and as the money piled up, the scope of the project expanded too. It's called feature creep, and Star Citizen really created a whole new league of its own. It created 3 new leagues of feature creep. Star Citizen would eventually split into 2 games. There was a multiplayer game and then a single player campaign called Squadron 42 that had a bunch of big name talent: Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, Henry Cavill, a bunch more. And so now we're getting in on 10 years of development. It'll be 10 years in the fall. How's it going? Well, nothing's been released yet. You already knew the answer to that. There's still, well, there's not nothing, but there's almost nothing. So Squadron 42, let's start with that. It was supposed to come out several years ago, but it has blown past every single deadline. Back in early 2020, developer Robert Space Industries announced they were abandoning their roadmap for the game. That is never a good sign, saying that it wasn't accurately reflecting their work on the game. Now, this pissed off all of their backers, and now Robert Space Industries has a new roadmap on its website. It's not really cut and dried with things like the game will be out by this date, or we're gonna have a beta by this quarter. It's broken up more into like a million different pieces. It's got a bunch of different deliverables and little kind of timelines on those. So you don't really know how close they are to getting anything finished overall. And seems like that might be the point. Even more troubling, at the annual CitizenCon in October, they didn't share any info on the progress of Squadron 42. So they're working on something. That's sort of all you can say at Star Citizen at this point. We know they're working on something. Where they are overall, it's kind of like if you have a term paper due and you tell your mom, well, I've been working on this letter and we're making some great progress on H, and then we've got some E's in the work. Oh, I got some great periods for you. And your mom's like, wait a minute, but where are you on the overall term paper? And you're like, well, I can tell you, but I've kind of abandoned that roadmap. It doesn't really accurately reflect my progress, but I got some great commas to talk to you about, Mom. I'm gonna release an hour-long video just on commas. That's pretty much what they're doing with Star Citizen. As for the multiplayer version of the game, they have had a series of alpha releases and have built out the game's first system with multiple planets on it. Again, that's something. An alpha 3.15 version was released in November. That included major features like adding more realistic behaviors and reactions for doctors and nurses. So again, it's something they're doing, but it's still a far cry from the original vision of the project that promised a level of depth and quality that had never been seen before in video games. And there's probably a reason, because it's too hard to do what they were proposing. Let's go back to its Kickstarter page for the original project, which said, Star Citizen is a destination, not a one-off story. It's a complete universe where any number of adventures can take place, allowing players to decide their own game experience. It was promised as this big, glorious, massive PC game that you could lose yourself in. Definitely one of those like last game you'll ever need type games. And for years now, it has raised so much money that it's already been considered one of the most expensive games games of all time. Really one of the most expensive anythings of all time. Now, just for comparison, GTA 5 cost $265 million to make. Star Citizen's raised about $200 million more than that. Now, the closest comparison we've made in the past was Avengers Endgame. That cost about $350 million to make, not including marketing costs. That's still way below Star Citizen at this point. And there's always been that lingering question surrounding Star Citizen: how much money is enough? If it's already the most expensive game ever, why do they keep raising more while producing comparatively very little? Now, a few years ago, those questions came to the forefront after Forbes published a very disturbing expose on the game's development. People who worked on Star Citizen said it suffered from massive feature creep and that Chris Roberts had basically lost control of it. Forbes reported that at the end of 2017, Roberts had just $14 million in the bank. So it sounds like they're just churning through cash, although obviously they have raised more and they continue to raise more. That money machine keeps going, with the developer continuing to sell pretty ships for big bucks and bundles of ships for even bigger bucks. Currently, they've got a Legatus pack, which contains all of the ships released up to this point. It can be yours for $40,000. Yeah, you could, if you want to, but you can only buy that if you've already given $1,000 to the game. So you got to be a VIP for the right to spend $40,000 on pretend ships. So yeah, think of Star Citizen as the original NFT. Although, you know what, in fairness, when you look at NFTs, Star Citizen looks totally legit by comparison because at least they're working on something. In a few years from now, I'll be doing another story saying they set a new fundraising record and they still haven't released anything, so just look forward to that. All right, we'll get to the rest of the stories in just a second, but first, guys, let's talk about purple. We've all been worried about our sleep quality lately. Oh God, it's allergy season. I get all stuffed up. It's so hard to sleep. There's a million methods for getting better sleep. There's meditation, yoga, there's mattress toppers, but no matter what, if you're sleeping on a bad mattress, your sleep is gonna be bad too. That's why I recommend sleeping on a purple mattress, guys, because only purple mattresses have the Gel Flex Grid. It's super stretchy, ultra squishy material that adapts and flexes and doesn't retain heat, and it's supportive of your back and legs while it cushions your shoulders, neck, and hips. Memory foam, it remembers everything, but the Gel Flex Grid bounces back as you move and shift, so you never have that I'm stuck feeling. I love purple mattresses. Sleep is so important. If your sleep is bad, your day is going to be bad. You spend a third of your life sleeping, and if you get a good mattress, it makes all the difference. You will notice immediately. Here's what you got to do, guys. Getting a great night's sleep starts with having a great mattress. Get a purple mattress. Go to purple.com/roundup10 and use code roundup10. For a limited time, you can get 10% off any order of $200 or more. That's purple.com/roundup10, code roundup10 for 10% off any order of $200 or more. Purple.com/roundup10, promo code roundup10, terms apply. On to the rest of the stories. Hideo Kojima and his studio Kojima Productions have something big in the works, maybe two big things in the works. On January 1st, the legendary designer tweeted, "This year I'm going to start a new work in earnest and move to the next level of experimentation with a radical project." He elaborated a little bit more recently during an NHK radio special, and according to a translation from Twitter user Genki, Kojima said that he's working on a big AAA title that everyone will say that they want to play. That sounds cool. Kojima went on to say that they don't have enough staff and they're having difficulty recruiting people from abroad due to the pandemic, but it also sounds like there is a second game they've got in the works as well. Famitsu published its annual survey of game developers, and in that survey, Kojima said they're working on two games. He said that one is a big new game, and the second is a new challenging title, so maybe new IP, something like that. Regardless, they both sound like they're a ways off. Kojima's most recent game, Death Stranding Director's Cut, will launch on PC this spring. After a walkout on December 6th to to protest the firings of QA staff. A bunch of workers at Raven Software still on strike. The QA team at Raven were joined in striking by Blizzard staff in solidarity, and the ABK Alliance Workers Group set up a strike fund to support them. The striking workers have sent a letter to Activision demanding that the fired employees be given full-time employment. They said in the letter, though, that they haven't had any communication with Activision leadership. It doesn't seem like Activision has even acknowledged the strike yet. They're probably just hoping for it to go away. But the walkout is causing issues with Call of Duty Warzone, which Raven works on. There was a recent bug in a cosmetic skin that turned players invisible. Not great. That's caused all kinds of drama, and that's what you need QA workers for. So maybe hire them back. I'm just saying. All right, this story's a little bit late because it happened over the holidays, but it's worth mentioning, so I wanted to throw it in there. Riot Games announced last month that it had settled a gender-based discrimination class action suit for a lot of money. The lawsuit was filed in 2018 by the former employees Melanie McCracken and Jess Negron, who alleged gender discrimination as well as sexual harassment and misconduct at Riot. Then the suit was followed by 2 inquiries from California state agencies. Now, the lawsuit followed that big expose by Kotaku about the culture of sexism at Riot, which included a lot of terrible things: unwanted advances, harassment, female candidates being passed over in hiring and promotions. But they eventually settled. As part of the settlement, Riot is going to pay a lot of money, $80 million to members of the class action suit, and approximately $20 million toward plaintiffs' legal fees. Plaintiffs' attorney Jeannie Harrison was quoted by the Washington Post calling it a great day for the women of Riot Games and for women at all video game and tech companies who deserve a workplace that is free of harassment and discrimination. So Microsoft has gotten a lot of press over the years for all its studio acquisitions, but Sony has got a pretty big pipeline of its own. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan spoke at CES 2022 and revealed they have 17 studios currently working on first-party games. That is a lot. That includes Naughty Dog, Insomniac Games, Guerrilla Games, Santa Monica Studio, Sucker Punch Production. That's an impressive lineup of their own. I mean, I know Microsoft gets all the headlines, but Sony's got a roster there. This year, in terms of PlayStation exclusives, we'll see Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, Gran Turismo 7. As for Naughty Dog, which of course is one of their crown jewel studios, they are working on multiple games. Studio boss Neil Druckmann said at CES that, quote, "We're dying to share with you the multiple game projects we have in the works at Naughty Dog. You can pretty safely assume one of those is the multiplayer component to Last of Us 2. Beyond that, we'll see." All right, time for a 5-second review. I've been playing this on stream lately, and holy this game is demonic. It is 20 times harder than I remember. Why I thought at the age of 45 it would be a good idea to play this game in front of people, I have no idea. It's so hard. All right, let's get to the games coming out next week. First up, Super Sammy Roll. Sammy's on a mission to rescue his friend Vera, and he needs your help. Join him in this exhilarating, colorful 3D platformer and fast roll, air grapple, and jump to save her. Comes to the Xbox Series X January 10th. PUBG Battlegrounds is going free to play. If you haven't played it yet, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is a battle royale shooter that pits 100 players against each other in a struggle for survival. Gather supplies, outwit your opponents to become the last person standing. All of the players who have owned and played PUBG Battlegrounds before the free-to-play service transition will automatically receive the PUBG Special Commemorative Pack, which includes a free Battlegrounds Plus upgrade and additional in-game rewards. Comes to PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Stadia January 12th. The Anacrusis is a 4-player cooperative first-person shooter set aboard a massive starship stranded at the edge of explored space. Team up with your friends in an infinitely replayable fight against alien hordes to unlock perks, weapons, and new ways to play that you can share with your team. Comes to PC, Xbox Series X, and Xbox One January 13th. In Mushroom Wars 2, enemy tribes of feisty mushroom creatures face off in a short but fierce RTS battle. Step into the shoes of a fearless mushroom commander, choose a hero to lead your army, and take control of the battlefield in a variety of multiplayer modes or challenging story campaign. Comes to PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, and Xbox One January 13th. And last, God of War! Oh, I hear great things. His vengeance against the gods of Olympus, years behind him, Kratos now lives as a man in the realm of Norse gods and monsters. It is in this harsh, unforgiving world that he must fight to survive and teach his son to do the same. Comes to PC January 14th. That's all the news I got for you this week, guys. I hope you're having a great weekend. Hope you had a good holiday and you're enjoying the new year. We will see you soon.